Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. One wrong turn, two fatal shots, a world plunged into war. How could the assassination of one man and his wife lead to the deaths of 20 million people and the collapse of four empires? Today we're diving deep into the story of June 28, 1914, the day a 19-year-old assassin pulled the trigger that ignited World War I. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a story of chance, chaos, and how a single event can change the course of human history forever. So, who was Archduke Franz Ferdinand? He was the heir to the massive Austro-Hungarian Empire, the nephew of the long-reigning Emperor Franz Joseph, but he wasn't your typical, universally loved royal. In fact, he was quite a controversial figure. He had radical ideas for the time, supporting reforms that would grant more rights and autonomy to the Slavic peoples within the empire. Ironically, this made him enemies on both sides. On one hand, hardliners in the Austro-Hungarian court saw him as a threat to their power. On the other hand, Serbian nationalists didn't want autonomy. They wanted complete independence and saw his reformist plans as a way to keep them under imperial control. Franz Ferdinand was a man caught in the middle, a symbol of an empire struggling to hold itself together. To understand why his death was so explosive, we need to look at the region he was visiting, the Balkans, in the early 20th century. This area was known as the powder keg of Europe. The once mighty Ottoman Empire was crumbling, leaving a power vacuum. In its place, a powerful wave of Slavic nationalism was rising, with the newly independent nation of Serbia at its heart. Serbia's dream was to unite all South Slavs, including those living under Austro-Hungarian rule, into a single powerful nation. Naturally, Austria-Hungary wanted to crush this separatist movement before it tore their empire apart. Adding fuel to the fire, Russia, seeing itself as the great protector of all Slavic peoples, supported Serbia's ambitions. In this tinderbox of competing interests, Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was the ultimate symbol of imperial oppression. His very presence was a challenge to nationalist dreams. So why on earth was he in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina, on that fateful day? In 1908, Austria-Hungary had formally annexed Bosnia, a territory with a large Serb population, which deeply angered Serbia. The Archduke's visit in 1914 was meant to be a show of force, a way to oversee military maneuvers and assert imperial authority. But the timing couldn't have been worse. The visit was scheduled for June 28th, a date known as Vidavdan. This is a day of immense historical and emotional significance for Serbian nationalists, marking the anniversary of a medieval battle against the Ottoman Empire, for the heir of the Austro-Hungarian Empire to parade through Sarajevo on Vidavdan was seen as a deliberate and profound insult. It was like waving a red flag in front of a very angry bull. The stage was set for a tragedy. The plot to assassinate him was hatched by a revolutionary group called Young Bosnia. These were young, idealistic, and fiercely nationalist students who were determined to end Austro-Hungarian rule. But they weren't acting alone. They had connections to and support from a shadowy Serbian military society known as the Black Hand. The Black Hand provided the assassins with weapons, training, and a network to help them carry out their mission. Their goal was simple and absolute: kill the Archduke, create chaos, and spark a revolution that would ultimately lead to a unified South Slav state. They were willing to die for their cause, and they believed that this one act of violence could liberate their people. On the morning of June 28, 1914, Sarajevo was buzzing. The Archduke's motorcade began its procession through the city. Along the route, 7 assassins from Young Bosnia lay in wait. The first attempt was a failure. As the cars passed, one conspirator, Nedeljko Abrinovi, threw a grenade, but he misjudged the timing. The grenade bounced off the Archduke's convertible, rolled under the next car in the procession, and exploded, injuring several bystanders and an officer. The would-be assassin swallowed a cyanide pill and jumped into a shallow river, but both the poison and the suicide attempt failed. He was quickly captured. You would think that after a bomb was thrown at him, the Archduke would have immediately left the city, but he insisted on continuing with his schedule, first going to a reception. at City Hall and then deciding to visit the wounded officer in the hospital. This decision would prove fatal. Here's where chance takes a dramatic turn. On the way to the hospital, the driver of the Archduke's car was not informed of the change in plans. He took a wrong turn following the original, publicly announced route. An official shouted at him, "What is this? This is the wrong way. We're supposed to go straight." The driver slammed on the brakes and began to slowly reverse the car. By a one-in-a-million coincidence, the car stalled right in front of a delicatessen where another one of the assassins, a 19-year-old named Gavrilo Princip, was standing. He had thought the plot had failed and was likely getting a sandwich. Suddenly, his target was right in front of him, a sitting duck just a few feet away. Princip didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, raised his pistol, and fired 2 shots. One struck Franz Ferdinand in the neck. The other hit his wife, Sophie, in the abdomen. As she collapsed, the Archduke's last words were reportedly, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Live for our children." But it was too late. Both were dead within minutes. The assassination was a chaotic mix of careful planning and sheer dumb luck. The immediate aftermath was a whirlwind of outrage and diplomatic fury. Austria-Hungary was enraged and immediately blamed the Serbian government for backing the assassins. They saw this as the perfect excuse to crush Serbia once and for all. A month later, they issued the infamous July ultimatum to Serbia, a list of 10 demands so extreme that they were designed to be rejected. They demanded, for instance, that Austrian officials be allowed to conduct their own investigation on Serbian soil, a complete violation of Serbian sovereignty. Surprisingly, Serbia accepted 9 of the 10 demands in a desperate attempt to avoid war. But it wasn't enough. On July 28, 1914, exactly 1 month after the assassination, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. This single declaration set off a domino effect that no one could stop. Russia began to mobilize its massive army to defend its ally Serbia. This prompted Germany, Austria-Hungary's ally, to declare war on Russia. That in turn brought France, Russia's ally, into the conflict. And when Germany invaded neutral Belgium to attack France, Great Britain entered the war. A regional crisis in the Balkans had just exploded into a global war. The consequences were staggering and reshaped the 20th century. World War I lasted for brutal years, from 1914 to 1918. It resulted in an estimated 20 million deaths, both military and civilian, and left a scar on the globe. The war led directly to the collapse of 4 great empires: the Austro-Hungarian, the Ottoman, the Russian, and the German. New countries were carved out of their ruins, creating new tensions. The harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, crippled Germany and sowed the seeds of resentment that would fuel the rise of fascism and, just 2 decades later, lead to an even more devastating conflict, World War II. It's almost unbelievable to think that 2 bullets fired in Sarajevo could have such a catastrophic, long-term impact on the entire world. But was the assassination truly the cause of World War I? Most historians would say no, it was the spark, not the fuel. The powder keg of Europe was already filled with explosive ingredients. The major powers were engaged in a massive arms race, a culture of militarism. They were entangled in a complex web of rigid alliances that promised mutual defense. They were competing for colonies and resources in an age of intense imperialism, and a fervent, often aggressive, nationalism was sweeping across the continent. War was not just possible. Many believed it was inevitable. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was simply the lit match that was tossed into this highly flammable situation. So what can we learn from this pivotal moment in history? The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is a powerful reminder of how the actions of a few individuals can have world-altering consequences. It shows how poor diplomacy, miscalculation, and a refusal to back down can escalate a regional crisis into a global catastrophe, and it demonstrates the incredible power of nationalism to both create and destroy empires. A wrong turn of a car, a stalled engine, a determined teenager with a pistol, these small, contingent moments collided with massive historical forces to unleash a century of turmoil. The world we live in today was forged in the fire that was sparked on that summer day in Sarajevo. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most important moments. Let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. See you in the next video.